Hello, everybody. It's time for another weekly episode of what do we call it?
Chatty.
That's it. So Chatty. I was going to say so very chatty, but
You
well,
always say, yeah.
I know it's really just so chatty. Maybe I should have called it so very chatty. I don't know, but that sounded too much like a bunch of other ones. But anyways, just before we get into this week's topic, just a reminder that this is the weekend. This is Friday, September the 24th, 2021. And it is the beginning of my weekend retreat, the Idiot Quilter Weekend Retreat. Now, tonight at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, as you know, is our icebreaker cocktail party for anybody that's, sitting around doing nothing at home, which seems to be what most of us are doing these days. So join us. The Zoom link is in the show notes below for that, and it's been posted throughout the last couple of weeks anyway, so it's there. And come bring something to show us, something you've created, something you're proud of. It doesn't have to be a quilt. It can be a piece of sewing, a garment. It could be knitting, crocheting, craft work, whatever you want. And bring your favorite beverage and bring your favorite snack. And we're all going to get together and just have a good time. We might play a game as well. And I'm also going to go over some of the details about tomorrow's retreat. And if you haven't heard about it yet, which I don't know how you would have missed it because I've talked about it on everything for the last couple of weeks. The actual retreat itself will start at 9 a.m. tomorrow morning, Eastern Standard Time. That's September the 25th, and run until 5 p.m. In the evening. Again, Eastern Standard Time. So come, enjoy, and we've got lots of things planned for during the retreat as well. No need to pre-register, just show up. And it's flexible. If you can't be there when we first start up, that is fine, because I know for some of you out in the West Coast, you're 3 hours behind us. So for you, it would be 6 o'clock in the morning. So you may be up, you may not be up, but that's okay. If you don't make it right on time, not a problem. And we have about 41, 42 people that have said that they are going to come. I can handle up to 95. We'll see. Heaven only knows what we will have. So I hope you can come and enjoy the day. Okay, so today we're doing something a little different. I got thinking about what if you needed to get some kind of sewing supplies and your usual outlet was not available? Like it was a weekend, they were closed or something, a Sunday afternoon or whatever. Are there alternatives to what we usually consider to be the standard outlets for sewing supplies? Now, the ones that we're going to talk about today have an online presence, and not always are the things that are online for these stores necessarily in their actual store to start with. But it gives you some idea of what kind of things you can find in stores that you don't necessarily always associate with sewing supplies. Also, we're going to talk a little bit about, from our experience, what we think about the quality of some of these supplies or the variety of the supplies. And so we're going to jump right in. What we're not going to talk about is Amazon, because everybody knows you can get whatever you want off of Amazon. I'm thinking more or less, you've run out of thread, your needles have broke, you don't have a spare, or you need something else. Could you go to these stores and get these things? Now, as I said, some things are going to be shown online that you can't get in their stores, and it may not be that convenient either, but just something a little outside of the box, because it's too easy to think about getting all your supplies at a quilting store or a fabric store or something like that. There are other alternatives as well. Okay, so the first one I want to talk about is one that everybody knows, and let me switch the screen over to that. Where is it? There it is. Okay. This is, of course, Walmart. And depending on where you live, Walmart has more or less sewing supplies, especially when it comes to fabrics. For example, in our local Walmart, they really don't have a huge selection of fabrics, although I have heard on YouTube, some of the presenters there, they get all kinds of fabrics. So I guess it depends on the area. Maybe it depends whether it's in the States or in Canada. And everything we're talking about today is I've linked to Canadian ones because that makes logical sense for me. So let's just take a look at this and see how we feel about these products. So right off the bat, what I did for each of these websites was I just put in the term sewing to see what would come up. That's all I did. Now, they may have certain things that you want in other areas, but I thought, well, the first thing people would put in for a search would be sewing, if that's what they're looking for. So we can see here there's 4 things, there's more, but have come up. But right off the bat, it gives you an idea of what you're going to get. So they have a sewing kit. Okay. $7.97. What's your feelings about that?
That's just, something that you need quick. You're on a vacation somewhere and your button came off or something, and it's a quick way to get something going on. However, I question the quality of the threads that are in one of those kits. They're probably not the best.
Yeah, well, let's see what you're getting for. Well, first of all, it's $7.97, and you get all these threads they're showing here. Well, you can tell that these threads are. This is meant for hand sewing, obviously, and these threads, wide variety of colors. I don't imagine it's very good thread. What else?
No.
Oops, get over here. What else have they got? Okay, so they've got your standard needle holder. Now, why would you need a needle holder if it's a travel sewing kit?
Well, no, it doesn't necessarily. It says an all sewing kit. It's not necessarily. I'm calling it a travel sewing kit.
Oh,
but I'm thinking, okay, maybe this is like, okay, a college student that needs to mend clothes quickly or something like that. But it's not really what I would consider a beginner sewing kit. Like, I mean, if somebody had just bought a machine or something like that, no. I wouldn't think that it would be a good sewing kit for that. One mainly is the quality of the threads. But if you could take away the quality of the threads, it does have some potential there.
Okay, but it's definitely not meant for machine sewing. It's meant for hand sewing. So sewing on a button or a repair maybe kind of thing. You get a tape measure, you get the cheap threads, you get a seam ripper, you get a, I don't know.
That looks like a darning. That looks like a something you would use for yarn.
Yeah, or something like that.
A needle for yarn.
And they've got a dressmaker's pencil, they call it. Bunch of straight pins, some needles, a variety of sizes of needles, a cheap thimble, and what's this?
That is for tracing paper, and I don't know why they would include that necessarily, because they're not including any tracing paper. So,
and that's what you usually use for marking on a pattern, don't you?
Yeah, if you use tracing paper, from my knowledge, anyway.
So that seems like kind of a strange thing to have in a kit like this. Then you have your miscellaneous piece here. There's a little needle threader in there.
Got some snap buttons, snap buttons,
and some safety pins, and a couple of buttons. It looks like that's in there too. Okay. Well, for $8, they're saying there's 40 pieces. Yeah, they're counting all these little things in there. And
I imagine the scissors aren't particularly good quality either. So
no, well, they don't look like that.
I mean, for somebody that's in college or something like that, or away from home, or I wouldn't really think it's a very good quality beginning. No. It says keep in your handbag or your car for sewing emergencies.
Okay, so maybe in an emergency it would be okay to have. Now you can get sewing kits everywhere.
Yeah, you can go to the dollar store and get one too. Yeah. So.
Now sewing machines. They're showing a Brother JX 1420 sewing machine. It looks like it's a pretty simple sewing machine. 14 built-in stitches. It's analog. Doesn't look like it's computerized.
Yeah, but Walmart in Canada anyway tends to sell a lot of Brother low-end machines.
Yeah, so you're getting 4 sewing feet, a zigzag foot, a zipper foot, a buttonhole foot, a button sewing foot, brightly lit LED work area, free arm for sewing cuffs and sleeves, jam resistant quick set drop-in top bobbin, pattern selection dial, 14 unique built-ins and 35 stitch functions. Well, what are they asking for it? $109.97 Canadian. Okay, so my very first sewing machine was a Brother sewing machine that had 50 decorative stitches. I got it at Costco. It also came with an extension table. It was a good price at the time, but within a month, parts of it were falling off.
That one looks pretty small too, if you really look at it. I couldn't see somebody wanting to do any serious sewing, getting much out of that. But somebody, you know, a young
maybe a
kid, somebody that's just starting out, and maybe only really wants to use sewing machine for limited things, I could see that as being something that they could use.
Yeah, they might. Maybe it was just for somebody who doesn't know they really want to sew. You know, for sure, if they like that, they don't want to put in a lot of money, they could get that and try it out. Also, this would be a great little machine for people who are paper crafters, I think. That's why I bought my first brother at the time. So then they've got notions, they've got fasteners. These are your cheap fasteners. Now their thread is Gutermann, all purpose.
And it's okay thread.
Yeah, it's okay thread. And it looks like they only have it in white, black, and tan. Now, they've got 15-piece domestic sewing machine foot low shank. I don't know about these. Feet for my Janome, for our Janome machines, cost, for 1 foot, cost twice that amount.
Not necessarily. If you get some of the simpler feet, it's only about $10 or something. But still.
Okay, so this is 2704. They say save 40. It's a clear out deal. Made in Taiwan. Well, that doesn't mean much.
Yeah, it may not fit your sewing machine that you've got. That's the problem.
No. Although, they look like they might be fairly universal. But I don't know. May or may not be. There's the walking foot. Now, the walking foot is cheap. I can tell you right off the bat, that walking foot's not going to last you very long, because it's plastic on everything. And yeah. Might be good for people who wanted just, again, for those people just getting into sewing. Maybe they don't want to spend a lot of money on a whole bunch of different feet, but they want to try like a variety pack of feet to see what they can do with them. It might be all right for that. There's a fun little gizmo right there. I'm not sure what that one is. With the wheel. Oh, maybe that is adjustable guide. Oh, so if you're doing a 1/4 inch seam allowance, you can maybe set that up for that. Zipper foot. Yeah, well, I don't know. Ooh, that's the shank, or the thing that holds it. So yeah, so in a pinch, you need a sewing machine real quick. You get there. Now here's what. Okay, they've got the Gutermann. Looks like there's a few more colors. Spool sewing thread assortment coil, 24 colors. I would think that's really cheap stuff.
Yeah, and it can jam up your machine if it's not very good quality thread.
Now they've got DIY 9-piece bundles fabric, quarters bundles fabric, quarters cotton, florals. Okay, that is weird. Gingham.
You also got to watch out here. Like if you go back to the homepage there.
What, this one?
No, yeah, you know, the selection page. Okay, if you go to the top of that, right? You notice there's a box, sold and shipped by Walmart. Right? If you don't click that box, then you are getting, it could be anybody that's selling that.
Oh, that's right. And then you can run into a real problem, because you had a problem with that once.
Yeah. Well, no, I didn't have a problem with that. I just had a problem with Walmart itself. Walmart in Canada. Anyway, if you purchase something from them, it could say that it's in stock on the website, but then when you go click on it and you put your payment in and everything else, it may all of a sudden say sold out. And then you have to wait for the stock to come in. And the way Walmart in Canada works is that it's once you've ordered something from them, it's impossible to cancel the order until you actually get it. And then you can take it to the store and return it.
Yeah.
But it's not just me, but I recently talked to somebody else online that I know that ordered something from Walmart, was very frustrated because they kept calling customer service, and customer service basically said to them we can't cancel your order you have to wait for it to come and then return it at the store.
Well, that's a bit of a pain in the butt. So I'm looking here at their other notions and things. They have lots of pins and things, and you'd expect that. Now, this unique start to quilt kit. So you got a tiny little cutting mat, and
actually, I think I was in the store at Walmart in our local area, and they had something similar to that.
Yeah.
I don't know if it's exactly the same.
Well, okay. Again, I don't know. I wouldn't trust the quality of all. Now, this actually, I have heard of Unique. Unique is a, well, I've seen their products around. I don't have any feelings about them one way or the other. I'm just looking at this. They're calling it a starter kit to quilt kit. Well, you're getting one little ruler, and you're getting a little tiny cutting mat and a rotary cutter. If the rotary cutter is decent, that would probably be the best thing out of all this. You're not going to do too much with that cutting mat.
I've purchased some of their Unique products at Walmart in a pinch. So when I happen to be in there to pick up something, and I've bought some pins and stuff like that, and the products are okay.
Well, I've got a few Unique products too. I'm just saying that this cutting mat is really, you're not going to be making a quilt with that. You wouldn't be able to cut your fabric.
It's not for somebody, well, again, maybe somebody that's just starting out or wants to do a little project or something.
Yeah. Okay, and just quickly, because we have other places to look at here, but now they've got serger thread, and they got Schmidt's needles, so that's okay, and they've got one of these. I've got one of those, never used it.
So one thing I noticed with Walmart in the store anyway, a lot of their needles that they sell are universals.
Oh, okay. And universal needles can give you a problem. And they have elastic, they have Dritz stitch witchery. So yeah. So basically, one of these. Here you go. The Unique Creative Handheld Sewing Machine.
Obviously, it's a real crowd pleaser. It has 1 star.
Yeah. Well, I tried using one of those once. I think I bought one once years ago. Not necessarily from Walmart, but something like that. Yeah, they don't sew. Now they've got a Fiskars fabric cutting set, 2-piece. So again, though, the ruler looks like you could be good with the ruler, but I mean the cutting mat itself isn't.
But I mean, if you just needed to do a simple thing, if you're not much of a sewer, then
now they do have an 18 by 24 cutting mat. That's a little better. And again, they've got their fabric bundles. I mean, I have felt they have some of this in the Walmart that's near us, and I don't really like the quality.
Like, I mean, okay, if you forget about the online store and then just go to the Walmart here in Canada that we have, they have a very short aisle of sewing materials. They'll have a few inexpensive sewing machines, and they'll have some of the stuff that you have listed here on their wall, and then they'll have a bunch of selection of fat quarters, and the material is usually not the best material for the fat quarters, but the selection is very, very limited. There's no fabric on bolts or anything like that we have.
Now they have another little portable sewing machine here for $37.38. It's got 1 star. And then they have pages and pages. So like if we just fly up to their last page and just see here. So they have actually, though, quite a number of things. Looks like repeats too.
But you can tell that a lot of these aren't actually Walmart products. They're
yeah, third party. So if we click on this, let's just see what comes up when we click on that. Does this give us sold by Walmart? Well, they still seem to have a fair number of items. Yeah. I'm saying items. I'm not saying quality about these, because I don't suspect that a lot of these are really top quality. But
some of the things, like the Gutermann threads.
Yeah, the Gutermann thread. Well, some of the things in here, ooh, what's that? So cool, sewing machine with 5 trendy projects. Ooh.
Like those unique creative assorted colors of all-purpose thread. I wouldn't think they're good for much more than just fixing clothes or something like that.
It's something in an
I would be
emergency.
afraid to use it in my sewing machine.
Yeah. So anyways, in a pinch, there might be some things in here that you like. Maybe you need some of these little snaps. Well, 24 sets of them for $2.97. I suppose that's okay, or whatever. But there are others. Let's check out. Let's check out Costco. Now Costco, I think we're going to find limited. Again, I put in the word sewing, and of course they come up with these machines. Again, what they show online is not always what they have in the Costco store.
But they have some decent quality machines.
Yeah,
there.
at a decent price. Because look, this is a Janome. These are all big name manufacturer, Janome. They have sergers. They have, so it looks like they cover Brother and Janome, and they have quite a variety of machines to pick from.
They have the Cover Pro machine that I have.
What's that like in price?
That's about the same price as I paid at the sewing store.
Now, I don't know why, though, when I put in sewing, I also get pasta machines and a stapler.
Yeah.
Because I do. But that's all that they really have. But, okay, you're looking to buy a reasonably decent sewing machine. You don't have maybe a Brother or Janome dealer close to you. The one thing about Costco is, if you buy something from them and you have any problems with it and you need to take it back, they'll take it back, no questions asked. And they'll take it back way into the future, too, with it. So that might be an alternative for somebody who wants to buy a sewing machine, a good sewing machine, but they don't have a dealer near them. So this might be good with it. I mean, all of these machines are showing by Janome are all major machines. The 6650. How much was the 6650?
You have to log in for that. Sign in for price.
Oh, do you?
Yeah, they have usually for Costco members. They have better prices.
Oh.
See, even if you're not a Costco member,
there it is.
Yeah, 16.
Yeah. So 17. Well, that's not terrible for that one.
No, actually, that's a pretty good price for that one.
So that's an alternative for sewing machines. So let's go to Michael's. Now, Michael's exists in both Canada and the United States, and the sister store to Michael's, well, they're not really affiliated, I don't think, is Joann's, of course, but we don't have Joann's in Canada. We only have Michael's. And going into a Michael's store, they don't have all that much in sewing either. They tend to more into the novelty type sewing things. Like here, a dog felt cutie sewing kit by Crediology. And their threads,
I don't know. Those kind of threads from those manufacturers, I'm a little bit concerned about how good they would be. Especially, you're getting how many threads in that package for $5.29?
I don't know. It looks like about 12.
It almost looks like the same stuff dollar store sells.
Yeah, it does. Loops, threads, sewing couture, I don't know. Hand sewing thread spools, 35 yards, 16 pieces. Well, that's not a lot of thread on a spool.
No, that's probably only good for hand fixes.
Yeah, and things like that. Well, I noticed here too that they had like their Singer sewing machine. Singer heavy duty 4452 sewing machine, $279.99. Well, does anybody buy Singers anymore?
Yeah, lots of people seem to do.
That looks like a fairly primitive Singer.
Yeah.
It just has a dial on it.
It's their fairly basic model that they've got.
Yeah, what's it say? How many? 110 stitch applications for any fabric, 50% more power for thick but extra high sewing speed, quick and easy threading guides. Okay, well,
Singer, for a beginner machine, it's probably not
be okay. But this is Michael's sewing gauge. So more, you see, they have more of the crafty kind of things.
Yeah, anytime I've been in the Michael's store in Canada, they have some stuff, but it's not always that varied. And really, some of the prices on it on them are usually not that great unless you use a coupon.
Now take a look at this one. Does that look familiar?
Looks similar to the one
that Walmart sells, and Walmart sold theirs for $7.79 or something like that. This is $17.99 at Michael's.
No, I think. Were you sure that one at Walmart was $7.79, or are you just thinking of the one that was the hand sewing kit?
Yeah, well, that's what this is. It's a hand.
Oh yeah, that's right.
This is the hand sewing kit too.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you gotta watch. Michael's though is never cheap. That's why you always get the 40% off coupon to use. But they have sewing kits as well. Then tabletop sewing machine by Loops and Threads. Okay, that looks Mickey.
It has 2 stars. So
yeah, Mickey Mouse. Wonder Clips. Yeah, you can get them there, but use your coupon because their price on Wonder Clips is expensive. But Wonder Clips original Wonder Clips are expensive. Here's one of those handheld things. So they only have about 2 pages of stuff. There's another one of those, cheap machines. Miniature sewing machine table.
that just looks like a something you put in a dollhouse.
Yeah, well, they give it 5 full stars. Miniature table.
It looks like something they put in a dollhouse.
Yeah, create a sewing room display box using this Sparrow Innovations miniature sewing machine table. Team with the mini sewing supplies, a cuckoo clock, and more.
Well, yeah, look at so it's 3 inches by 3
yeah,
inches.
So it's sort of like a dollhouse kind of a thing. Or for very short people. So Michael's has some things.
Fairly basic stuff.
Yeah. Baskets, pins.
Some people buy their rotary blades there because they got the coupon.
Yeah, because their rotary blade stuff is expensive as heck. Now, they're not showing, though, any of their fabrics, which is interesting. But they don't have a lot of fabrics. Not the Michaels here, anyways. No. In the States, they might have more to choose from.
Fat quarters. And
yeah, like and the quality, they're expensive for what you're getting, and the quality isn't that great, I have found. So I stay away from Michaels when it comes to sewing supplies. But again, if you're in a crunch situation, you might want to try that out. Now, let's take a look at Home Depot. Yeah, Home Depot. Would you think? I did a search and they don't have much, but what they do have is cabinetry. So you can get...
Now, mind you, that's the stuff that you put in for sewing, but there are some things that you can buy at Home Depot that might be cabinetry or something like that isn't specific for sewing that
true
would work for a sewing room.
Yeah, you'd have to start using your imagination. Like if you like a case or something you want to carry supplies in or notions in, like storage bins, things like that. So you would be able to find that. You're definitely not going to find fabric there, or sewing needles and things.
Yeah, I know. Sometimes you have to think outside the box. Okay, for instance, I should have brought it down. I have a bag that I use. It's actually a tool bag. That I bought in the tool department, and I use it to hold my sewing supplies. And what I like about it is that it's has lots of pockets, and it's made of an industrial fabric that is nice and sturdy. So things like what you're seeing here, the Milwaukee ones, and
isn't that kind of what?
Yeah, I have a APC,
or is it that one?
APQ, or
that's
AP,
a DeWalt.
Something or another bag.
Well, just looking at this though, there's quite like this one, 15-inch pack out backpack kind of a thing. However, it looks inside. But if you're going to a retreat, like something like this would be okay.
It's great. You can put all your stuff in there. They've got lots of pockets, and it's industrial looking, but they're very functional.
There's quite a few to choose from, and if you want something with wheels and a handle,
and then they have these like little things that you can put on a table and stuff too. Yeah. All-trade tool bag.
And it looks like they have quite a selection because there's 8 pages of these. But that's an alternative because if you go into a sewing store, a quilt store, a fabric store, and you buy a bag that's officially for this kind of purpose, you'll pay more.
Like here, 15-inch Husky, 15-inch tool tote bag for $22.98.
Yeah, actually, that looks pretty good. And it looks like it's well made, and there's a lot of room in that, really. Yeah. For $22.98, I don't think you can beat that for a price. But you see, this is because it's not listed as being for sewing. If it was listed for sewing, I'll bet you'd be twice that price, simply because it's a specialty item. Well, let's pop over to Lowe's and see what they've got.
In fact, if you look, sometimes they even have ones that come in pink to appeal to women.
Well, there you go. So Lowe's did not have a lot, but one thing that stood out is they have chairs. Now, you can buy a sewing chair, which is basically just an office chair sort of thing, but they charge you a lot more for it. Like Janome has a sewing chair that costs $400.
But see what it is appeals to people is there some funky fabrics.
Yeah, they have it in fabrics. But you look at these chairs. Reliable Sew Ergo sewer chair, adjustable, and it's black in size. And this is another one. This one's a little cheaper. I don't know why. But, if you're looking for a sewing chair, instead of just going to a sewing shop for that kind of thing, check out.
Or you can go to an office supply store.
You go to Staples.
Or something like that, or yeah.
I did do a search in Staples under the word sewing and sew, and nothing came up with them.
But see, that's where you go back to thinking outside the box.
Yeah.
You buy an office chair or a different kind of chair that appeals to you.
But so many people feel that if they don't buy it from a quilt store, a fabric store, an accessory like that, then it's not exactly right. Because that's how they sell them. They make it sound like, oh yeah, well, this is unique for sewers. Well, why is it unique? The chair you're sitting on right now is a stool with a backing, and that's what I'm now using as my sewing stool, and I bought it for $100 off of Amazon. And I had a stool before, but it didn't have a back, and I find that with a back on it, it's a little easier on my back. So, but it's not listed as being specifically for someone who's a sewist either, or a quilter. So then there's your ones like Bed Bath & Beyond. And how come this is all coming up with, okay, for some reason, a comforter. I don't know why I went to that, but let's just put in sewing. Now right off, there's telling you they have sewing machines, sewing kits, sewing tables, Janome sewing machines. They have a slow site. Okay. So, Moda at Home Travel Sewing Kit. Okay.
Yeah, and it's like $8.
Yeah. Now they have tables.
See, if you notice, they're not available in the Whitby store. So I bet you they're just online orders.
Oh, maybe. Yeah, it says check other stores. So you probably have to order these things online. And then they have some novelty kind of things.
Okay, now one thing they don't list in their sewing is irons.
Oh, that's true. So if we go, I didn't think about that. Well, you see, they have sewing machines too. Just before we go to, let's check this out, sewing machines. If it's going to load up here. Okay. Well, they seem to be having trouble loading that information onto the screen. Nope. Nope. Okay.
No row. So they have a category for it.
Yeah, but there's nothing really there. No, that's not what I wanted to do. I started putting in sewing before. Okay. Janome sewing machine. Okay. Come back to me.
See, nothing.
It's nothing. Now that's interesting. Why is nothing coming up even though they have those categories listed on there?
They may have been ones from previous searches from other people.
Oh, maybe. but nothing seems to be coming up. It's just spinning its hoofies. So really, for a place like Bed Bath and Beyond, no results for sewing machines. Isn't that misleading though?
Yeah.
Really with that. So they really don't have anything. Which I kind of found funny because Bed Bath and Beyond.
But they do sell irons.
Oh yeah, we're gonna look up irons. So let's just see what they have for irons.
And you gotta wipe out sewing first.
Fine. Did it go in?
No, when it was sewing.
Irons. Okay. So they've got a wide variety to choose from of all kinds of irons. Oh, I have that one. Actually, it's not a bad little iron, but you burn your knuckles on the surface. It gets really hot. Rowenta, I have this one. I love this iron as a portable iron. I've had two because I broke the handle on one. But for $44.99, I think I bought mine from Amazon, but I think it was about the same price. But I love that iron. They have steamers. Ooh, they have a reliable iron state. Oh, I wonder if that's the one.
An industrial one.
Yeah.
That's though that you can get a better deal on those at Cleaner Supply.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Cleaner Supply, they're in our show notes below if you're interested. So yeah, there's quite a selection here of irons, but I would suspect that they have 2 pages of it. But really, in terms of just sewing stuff, not a lot, but that doesn't surprise me. Okay, here's one that did surprise me. This is Canada, of course, so Canadian Tire. I did not know that Canadian Tire sold sewing machines.
Yeah, they actually do. I actually went and saw them in the store.
They're Singer.
They're very low-end machines, but
again, if you're looking for something to just start out on, of course, everybody has a sewing kit. That one's a little bit more elaborate, well, at least in the price. Outbound sewing kit. I guess that's a travel one. They have those stupid hand things that don't ever seem to work. Oh, you can get a sewing table. Now that looks very much like the sewing table that was shown in what was it, Home Depot or Lowe's?
Mm-hmm.
That Serger.
And of course, Canadian Tire sells irons and stuff like that.
Yes, they have that in all housewares.
Walmart sells irons. But...
Now here's seen on TV, no stitch hemming tool and powder. So basically powdered glue and a hot iron. Oil. Light bulbs. Okay, sewing machine light bulbs.
Mm-hmm.
For old style ones.
Mm-hmm.
And sewing machine oil. Now you get into though like something was sewn in pads. So when you put in the word sewing, you're going to get other things.
Yeah, like and Canadian Tire sells like tool bags and things like that too. So.
Yeah. So you can find things there. But these things now are going out. There's Velcro though.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So it doesn't hurt. I mean, I didn't think a Canadian Tire before for sewing products. I just don't associate with that. Now, one place that I have bought things from, they don't have a lot to choose from, but whatever you buy from this company is always very high quality. I think they're a Canadian company, Lee Valley, and they had a few things. They have something called the Speedy Stitcher Sewing Kit. Now, I'll show you what that is. This is the Speedy Stitcher Sewing Kit. These have been around for years. And basically what they are is they have like a pump action. You press it down and when it comes back up, it makes the stitch. It's really meant for sewing things like canvas and things like that. It's not for fine sewing.
For somebody that wants to make a sewing table, they sell sewing machine lifts.
Yeah, they got the lifts too. Things on this site are not real expensive, but they're not cheap either. Now
they sell a lot of stuff for people making woodworking crafts,
gardeners,
and gardening, and they have some unique items though too that
and this is one of them. watchmakers cases in aluminum. I had some of these, and they're great for holding little pieces. If you do something, if you have beads, or you have small buttons, or you have little notion things, these are great because you can fit them in these little canisters, and it's all in one tin box. And they usually come in a couple of sizes. And I think I saw down further, yeah, bigger ones.
And they have Pro Seam Ripper that you just passed by too.
Yeah. So they have this kind of thing. I don't know if that's where I bought mine or not.
No, I think I got it on Amazon. Online, yeah.
But this is a great seam ripper, especially if you do machine embroidery and you get a nest underneath it where it basically is sewing your fabric to your plate. You can get right under there because they're very thin, but they're very, very, very sharp. And you can just slice the threads underneath. And I do like this. I wonder what the rotary cutters like.
Well, it's just all a rotary cutter is a thing that holds the blade, right?
Yeah, I know, but I wonder what it feels like in the hand. I wonder, well, it's probably good quality.
I don't know if I like the safety on it.
No, it doesn't. It looks like, well, it looks like that would go around to the other side, but I don't know how that works with it. You get little things like this, locking pocket cases, like you can make your own sewing kit. Yeah. You could put in some quality thread and quality needles and things like that in it. A knife. Oh, here you go.
Yeah, that's handy.
Yep, you have one of those.
Yeah, I do.
And that's great, especially if you drop pins or anything that's metal and you drop it down in a space you can't get your hand into. If you can get this in it, and it's telescopic, it pulls out too. So that's something some people wouldn't think of.
That sometimes you can sometimes buy those in a hardware store too.
They have tailor's shears. I don't know who makes them. Well, they're theirs, I guess. I imagine they're pretty good quality. $42.50. Well, that's, you'll pay a lot for a pair of decent scissors. So they don't have a lot of things. Sew your own unicorn puppet kit. Okay, there you go. But I do know when you find something here that you want.
Now, there is one thing that you bought from them recently that isn't in the sewing kit, and that's the magnet to hold your scissors.
Oh, yeah. And I just, I'm showing that next week on the Idiot Quilter. But it's a bar. It's meant to hold, well, let me back up. I was looking for something to mount on the edges of my cabinets underneath where my embroidery machine is. The scissors and hemostats and things I use the most often. I usually throw those in a drawer, but I have to reach in the drawer, get them out, got to find them. I wanted some way of just having them right at my fingertips, but hung up and out of the way. So I thought about one of those magnets for knives, for kitchen knives. And we went to a couple of kitchen stores and looked down. Well, those won't hold very well. They're not very strong magnets, and they're about $15. So I went here on Lee Valley, and they had two different models, and they came in two different lengths. And the one I bought was the heavy duty one, and it was meant to actually hold like a hammer or garden tools, like heavier things. It says it will hold 20 pounds, items that weigh 20 pounds, and it works like a charm.
Actually, I think I might buy one at some point.
It's great. I got the 13-inch one. I have I have a pair of scissors. I have all of my little tools, my applique scissors and everything, and they're right there. They don't drop off. It holds everything secure, and it's right at my fingertips to use it. And this is the place I got it from. And as I said, anything I've ever bought from Lee Valley is always very good quality. And they are a Canadian company. So that takes me to one more, which we all know, the dollar store. This is Dollarama, but most dollar stores have pretty much the same thing. You can get your Velcro, you can get scissors, you can get safety pins, you can get elastic. Now these are things.
Actually, their scissors are pretty good to cut paper. I don't know about
I wouldn't know about fabric. But what I'm saying is stuff like Velcro and elastic and that. Really, I don't think there's a lot of difference in the quality of the Velcro that you get at a dollar store in comparison to what you would buy at some place like Fabricland, which you're going to pay like 12 times more.
The only problem is most of the stuff they sell at the dollar store is sticky back.
Yeah.
And if you want to get stuff that doesn't have a sticky back,
then yeah, you're beat. I don't imagine the embroidery threads they're like more for, well, even show it. This is more for kids, kids crafting. Same here, needlework kit. Okay, this is a little tiny. I have seen this one. This makes it look like it's a big kit. It's just a tiny little thing. It's a travel.
But yeah, but it's okay. I think it'd be okay if you're in a hotel room somewhere.
Yeah, and you need to
something breaks, then you
can buy this. You can buy this stuff by the case.
Yeah,
I didn't know that. Huh? Interesting. I don't really need a case of those, or
no, but somebody might get it for their store to resell.
And yeah, so you can get some things there. I mean, think about what you're using it for, because if you're going to try and make yourself a shirt using their thread, I don't think that's a good idea, unless you want to tear away one with it. So those are just some places that we thought. Let me switch the camera over. Yeah, there's the camera. Okay, those are just some things I got thinking about the other day. Where can you get sewing supplies when you can't get to a regular store?
There's other places like when we went to Kitchener that time, they have a surplus store.
Oh, the surplus stores, yeah.
And in the surplus store, they had a section where they sold sewing equipment. So in your own area, you might have a store similar to that you might be able to find stuff at.
Yeah.
And it's not just in a sewing area. Like I said, you got to think outside the box sometimes for storage or for other things that you might be looking for that you could use in your sewing room that might be something that's not quite as obvious. So,
well, what I like to sometimes do is when I go into like Dollarama or Home Depot or something, walk up and down the aisles and just look at things that are there and think about, would this be something I could use in my sewing room or not?
I mean, lots of people use other things like, what do you call it, painter's tape or things like that, for that they use to help them sew with. And that's, like standard thing items. There's some things that that we found over the years in when you did crafting, for instance, you found some things that craft stores sold that you could buy elsewhere at a much less price. So.
Yeah, that's true. Also, I think you have to balance off the price and the quality. Like, for example, like if you only need a little bit of this and, you might not be using it in a garment per se, but maybe you're making a quickie little pouch or something and you just want an enclosure that's quick like that. Well, even though this has a sticky back to it, you can sew it in.
Well, in one of the classes I took, one of the requirements was to get that web type fabric. Fabric that's sort of like
it looks like a web.
It looks like a web. It looks like
a mesh.
It looks like mesh stockings, but it's sort of like just a fabric for making a pouch or something like that. Well, one of the ladies brought in a pouch that she found in one of the dollar stores that was made out of that material, and it was good enough to use for a project that she was doing.
I found some bags once going to a retreat. I want to put some of my projects into like a bag that I could see into and have a zipper enclosure. Well, they had ones that are meant for your packing, for suitcases, and they were really inexpensive and they weren't bad quality. In fact, I've used them multiple times over. They weren't huge, but they held quite a bit. So sometimes you can find things. You don't need to spend an arm and a leg on it. Like, do you really need to spend more than $1.25 for safety pins? I don't know. I don't think so. With it, even elastic, I don't know. Now, mind you, if it's elastic for garment, you might want something.
Well, actually, if you go into a quilting store and buy elastic by the yard, it's usually not that expensive.
Well, I don't buy it very often, if ever. But anyway, so I guess what the bottom line of what I'm pointing out today is, or what we're pointing out is, think outside of the box. Just because it doesn't say it's a fabric store or sewing store doesn't necessarily mean that you can't get something you'll find useful at an alternative store. So when you go out shopping and you're going up and down the aisles on things, you might want to keep your mind open to other possibilities. So anyways, that brings us to the conclusion of this week's episode of So Chatty. Maybe we've given you some food for thought, or maybe you'll just want to...
Maybe it's something you already knew.
You already knew. We don't know, but we told you about it anyway. So, okay. So if you have suggestions for future topics, I've mentioned this before, please be sure to send them to us. You can use my email link that's in the show notes for that, or just put a comment in the box below. And I hope you have a good week, and we'll see you next week for another episode of So Chatty. Say goodbye, Walter.
Goodbye, Walter.